Hey YouTube, what's up? Mike the Manic Geek here. And today I'm going to be taking a look at the Fractal Design Core 500. Now this is their newest entrance into the ITX case market, and it provides a form factor that promises to give a good balance of acoustics, water cooling capability, storage capacity, and a small footprint. So I'm going to take you guys through my initial experiences with this case, get a rig built up in it, and show you guys what the end results were for that, and whether or not this is something you should be considering. Alright, so I figured I'd give you guys a bit of a walk around of this case in real time again, kind of like this format, want to experiment with it. Okay, so see here we got the front of the case. It's sort of a brushed aluminum look, but it is in fact plastic. Nice little subtle Fractal Design logo down here, really like that. Your I/O and your buttons up in the front. You got your power and reset switch here. Nice tactile click to those. Your hard drive activity lights, front audio, two USB 3.0 headers up here. Would have liked to seen maybe an extra USB 2 header up front as well, but this should work for most people. You've got otherwise a very flat exterior. I mean, this is a shoebox in the extreme here. You have exhaust here for a front-mounted power supply, and then you've got your intakes along the side here with intake for your graphics card being right over here, as well as room for up to 240 millimeter fans up top, as well as up to a 280 millimeter radiator. Now going around the back, we've got pretty typical fare right here. Room for your motherboard I/O, dual slot GPU. Need to remember that you cannot use anything that is thicker than a 2-slot solution here. Room for up to 140 millimeter radiator and fan in the rear, and we come supplied with one of their Silent Series 140 millimeter fans. Now, this little guy over here, a little panel that you lift up and down to help hold your PCI device in place. We're assuming it's a graphics card here. Much cleaner implementation of something like this than I've seen on a case in the past. I really like that. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get it opened up now. Okay, so I just want to talk about something real quick. I was actually able to get all but one of the side panel screws off of this out of the box without using a screwdriver. So good job with quality control there, getting them torqued down mostly right. But one of the screws, as well as this originally, gave me a bit of a problem. Not a huge deal. Sliding this panel off has a little bit more resistance to it than I would like. I would really not really sure how you would go ahead and improve upon that with this particular design. Maybe a different latching system for everything. But we come back over to the panel here real quick. We see that our intakes are dust filtered, and they are magnetic dust filters. I really like these, and I'm a huge fan of this kind of implementation. It's simple, it's cheap to manufacture. It does its job while being minimally invasive. I really like that. All right, so back into the actual interior of the case. Get a better look at that supplied case fan there. All of your cables, all of them are black. Love that. Another huge plus from Fractal there. All black cables, digging it. This is your 5 1/4 bay. It does double as additional storage for a hard drive there, as you can see. And this is in fact removable. You will actually need to remove it to work with most radiators here. Here we also have our mounting points for hard drives. You can mount 3.5 or 2.5 inch hard drives on this. The SSD mounts are right here, as you can see. And you can probably get away with mounting the 3.5 inch drives on the inside here. But I really like this storage implementation because realistically, unless this is some sort of high load server, your hard drives aren't really ever going to get particularly hot. So keeping them out of the way and flush with the side of the case, really like that. Now, we also have your internal mount here for your power supply. Again, this is dust filtered. We'll get underneath and look at that in a second. Here's your power pass-through for your power supply. So when you install your PSU, you're going to plug this into the back of it and then plug that cable that came with your power supply in right here. All right, so let's get the front panel off now, shall we? Now, one more thing I want to note about the top here before we move on is this piece where the fans mount is in fact removable. You got these little screws here on the side that will let you remove it. You can also actually remove the power supply mount here. I was a little surprised by that. I wasn't expecting so much of this to be as modular as it is, but in general, I'm loving what I'm seeing so far here. But yes, having this removable will make it a lot easier for you to figure out how you need to maneuver your water cooling system into place in here. Because you can see, even though it is a very open chassis in general, you are still going to be challenged with how exactly you're going to mount everything in there. But anyway, getting back to the front, we can see the front panel is off and the front I/O is still attached to the case. Excellent. Yes, the front I/O is attached to the case separately. It is removable with a couple of screws here, so if you wanted to get in and do some jiggery-pokery stuff around here or whatever, then you're good to go. Now, in the front, we can also see that we have an extra spot for another 2.5-inch hard drive here, but there is no intake here. So all of your intake is pretty much going to be coming from the top and side of the case over here. Now, I wanted to touch on something real quick for the modders out there. This front panel, you see this, this brushed aluminum-looking plastic here. That plastic comes out with just these 4 tabs on the side panel. Let me see if I can get this off with one hand. Yeah, see, that's how easy it is to take this off. I can do it with one hand. And what I like about this is that it makes it really easy to get the case fully disassembled and get it colored the way you would want to if you wanted to do some kind of mod build with this. I may revisit that at some point with this case in the future. I would love to do a fully blown mod build with this. Let me know in the comments down below what it is you guys could see yourself doing with a feature like that, because I really like that. All right, now we can see that there is some cable management on the inside of the case, but it's only really on this side. So if you wanted any more cable management, you're gonna have to be kind of creative there, and I'll show you guys that in the completed build here. Now underneath, real quick, we've got 4 rubberized feet here with some shiny black surrounds on them. Really like that. Really well integrated into the case. Those aren't going anywhere. This dust filter is a little bit of a disappointment, honestly. Seeing those other 2 magnetic dust filters gave me hope for this one, but it has this really awkward slide mechanism that they use to keep it in place. And it just, in general, I don't like this implementation for a dust filter. I would much rather, honestly, have had them done away with these 4 tabs entirely and just get another magnetic filter underneath. That to me, that feels like it would have been a much better choice. But anyway, enough of me talking about it. Let's go ahead and get some hardware in here and see what it looks like. Okay, so now that I have a build set up in this computer, I can talk more with you guys about the build experience here. Really the only quirky thing, well, there were 2 quirky things really that I found with this case. The first of which is the fact that the cable management loops that are present in here mostly wind up not getting used. Most of them are along the left side of the chassis over here, and that's fine, but most of your cables, depending on the motherboard that you select, aren't going to be running along this side. You're going to get some cables that need to plug in near the top as well, and there's not really a way to comfortably route those cables. Now, the other quirk that I encountered was with regard to top fan placement. I did go ahead and sit the 140mm fan that comes stock with this in the roof as intake, But when I found that when I tried to put the roof panel back on, the latching system that's utilized to keep the lid in place was, I couldn't get it to go on with the fans moved all the way forward. So that's why they give you the specific radiator dimensions that they do in the little instruction booklet that comes with this case. It wasn't a huge problem. I was able to just move the fan forward a little bit, and that gave me enough room to work with. So just bear that in mind when you build here. Now, another thing that you'll want to consider is if you do wind up using something like a 120 or 140 millimeter all-in-one water cooler, you may run into some clearance issues depending on how you have it oriented and how the kit is designed. Also, depending on whether or not you're populating your rearmost hard drive base, your hard drive slot back here. I found that installing up to a 120 millimeter all-in-one worked just fine, as long as I had the end tanks positioned with the tubing either near the hard drives or near the graphics card. I could not have them facing up or down because it would collide either with the top of the case or with the motherboard. Now, as far as actually getting the cables set up properly in here, I found that using the 24 pin as a common anchor point for most of the cables that were running along the other side of the case worked extremely well, and it got some extremely tidy runs going in here, and it enabled me to make full use of this gloriously huge interior that this thing has to build with. It really was actually a very easy build experience, especially as ITX cases go, where the tighter confines tend to leave you with a lot of building challenges that most novice builders wouldn't be able to tackle. But I would go so far as to say that even if this was your first time building an ITX rig, you probably wouldn't have too many problems here. Now, one of the great redeeming aspects of this case is the fact that the way they have it designed, it's shallow enough so that you can set it inside an entertainment center like the one that I'm using in my apartment here. And I have to say that if you're going with like a black or black chrome sort of fit and finish with your living room aesthetic, that this is going to blend in so nicely. Matter of fact, I just had some friends over recently, and when I showed them the home entertainment center, they thought this was a sub at first, or they thought that it was another channel for our audio system or something. It blended in that seamlessly. And then when I showed them that it was in fact the computer, they were even more impressed with it. But that's just something Fractal Design has come to be known for, right? Is having a case that sort of just seamlessly melds into your surroundings. They did an excellent job with it here, and I gotta say, my home theater environment has never looked or sounded better. The supplied fan for this case is dead quiet. The only time I can hear this at all over even the sound of our mini fridge that we have is when the room is dead silent, the TV is off, all the lights are off, the fans are off, no electric noise is being made other than this case. That's the only time I ever hear it. But guys, that's going to wrap it up for now on the Fractal Design Core 500. I definitely recommend this as being one of your shortlist selections for your next ITX form factor build. It can hold a really good amount of water cooling hardware in here. It's got really flexible hard drive mounting solutions. You even have the hidden SSD drive in the front that you can mount, which is a really nice touch. Dust filtering on all sides of the case, even if it is a little bit of a schlep to get to. Just really, really well-designed ITX form factor chassis for that perfect sort of sleeper shoebox look that I know a lot of people are starting to gravitate towards now, especially for LAN rigs, for things like LAN Syndicate or what have you. But let me know what you guys think about it in the comments section down below. Also, don't forget to do that thumbs up, thumbs down, share, subscribe thing, like you do, how you do. Also, if you're feeling a little generous, go ahead and stop by the homepage for the YouTube channel and click that support button. Every penny you guys send helps me out a ton. But anyway, guys, until next time, I just wanted to give a quick shout out and thank you to Josh over at Fractal Design for supplying not only the case for review, but supplying the Venturi fans that I've been using in my cases recently. But anyway, guys, until next time, take it easy, YouTube.